and it's a pretty neat thing. And you know, there's nothing better than spending your life here in Milpitas. I'll tell you that. Okay, great.
Looks like we have our quorum now.
Oh, we do. Wonderful.
We do. Yes.
Well, then we'll call the meeting to order. The time is, where are we now? 7:05. Okay. And let's have Melissa lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Melissa?
Okay, I'm not sure how to do this. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which I stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, we should have a roll call right now. And I don't know who good evening, Jaida.
Good evening.
Okay, so let's have the roll call, and I'll call your names and you tell me when you're present. Benjamin Tang.
Present.
Jaida Ghosh.
Present.
Sandeep Yumarini.
Present.
Sakib Babesh. Absent. Okay, and myself, John Agg, present, and Melissa Tan.
Present.
Thank you. We have no alternates, so I hope everybody's had an opportunity to read the agenda, and I need an approval for the agenda.
I motion to approve.
Thank you, Benjamin. Can I have a second?
I second Commissioner Unrani.
Thank you. Okay, again, we've all received the notice, so I'd like a motion for approval of the meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
I approve. Jaida Ghosh.
Thank you, Jaida. Okay, we come to the public forum.
I don't think you took a vote on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we'll have a vote then on approval of the meeting minutes. Jaida Ghosh.
Approved.
Benjamin Tang.
Approve.
Sandeep Yumarini.
Approved.
Sakib Babish is not here. Myself, I approve. And Melissa Tam.
She's non-voting.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Keegan. All right, so we come to the public forum. I'm going to read the public forum. I don't know whether we have any online, Tegan, but
You have a hand up, so yes, go ahead and read the public forum, and then you have Urvash Kumar Mehta.
okay. Those interested are invited to address the commission on any subject not on the agenda orally via Zoom webinar. The instructions are on the city website. Speakers may provide their name and city of residence for the record, and comments may be limited to 3 minutes or less. This evening it will be 3 minutes. As an item not listed on the agenda, no response is required of the commission or staff. However, commission members may request staff to add the item to a future meeting agenda. This public meeting will be led with professionalism, respect, and civility, so profanity and/or vulgar language will not be allowed. Okay, and you say we do have a...
You do, yes.
Thank you very much to the Commission. I wanted to mention about a few things about what the California arts advocates in terms of implementing the arts, culture, and creativity as a part of an ecosystem to build for a city, county, and a state. It is imperative to know that there are city legislature and budget requirements for the Arts Commission to prosper for the specific city, as well as it is important to know that there is a Senate Bill 805, Save the Performing Arts Act of 2021 that has been introduced. As per the Senate Bill 805, it is important that the right set of job opportunities be implemented in the performing arts sector, as well as implement the SN PACs, which allows the arts advocates to support the bill and establish the non-profit performing organization within the city, county, and a state development, such that the Arts Commission, which acts as a council for the city, provide the funding, grants, and the budget for the city for the development of the arts and the culture and the creativity within the city of Milpitas. It is also to know that with recent changes of a 2021 Performing Arts Act, increasing the funding to the arts has been $1 per resident has been allotted as a part of a capita investment for the California state. Also, the budget requirements is to be defined by the commission, by the Arts Commission, for the respective year, as well as the forthcoming year, as a part of a grant allotment, and for the culture institution within the city and the county to directly work with the city commission to implement the programs within the city. Also, the cultural institution and as well as the non-profit organization are to directly report to the commission with regards to the program implementation within the city, and also to evaluate on a basis that, what are the equitable recovery that is being made, and in the contribution to the arts, culture, and the creativity programs within the city, and as well as improve the businesses of the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. We move on now to announcements. Tegan, do we have any announcements?
I will save my announcements for the staff report at the end.
Okay, all right. So then we move into business items, and item 8 or 9A is the mural program.
Mhm.
And you're on stage, Tegan.
Okay, great. And IT is going to help me out with the presentation. Thank you. So today we're going to get our first start talking about the mural program. City Council has requested that the Arts Commission prepare a proposal for a mural program by June. And you will, I hope, make some progress on it tonight, and probably we'll have to finish it up in May. Next slide, please. One of the items that we would need to determine for a mural program is the process for nominating spaces. So I don't know, Chair, if you want me to go through all the slides and then open it for discussion, or if you want to discuss as we go. I think it might be faster to go through all of them.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So one of the things we would like to hear from you on is the process for nominating spaces. The way it's been done in other cities, murals can be concentrated in a particular section of town, for example, Midtown, downtown, or they can follow along a transportation corridor. such as Main Street, or they can be spaced throughout the city. So you have them in every neighborhood or in various parts of the city. As far as spaces that might be nominated, city-owned spaces are the easiest for us to put a mural on, but other government-owned spaces can be done with MOUs. I know there was a mention of the underpass on Calaveras that goes under 680, which is owned by Caltrans. So, and I've heard in the past mentions of school sites. So government-owned spaces can be done. And then there's privately owned spaces, so businesses. And those would be something that we would have to creatively plan how we could do as part of our proposal to council. But many cities do allow residents, business owners, and artists to nominate spaces. They often have a web submittal form on their website and just take submissions via a web form. Next slide, please. Another thing that we'll have to talk about is the process for prioritizing spaces. And one way to start would be to think about what your primary and secondary goals for a mural program would be. And the ones that we typically see with other cities are placemaking, economic revitalization, mitigating blight, mitigating graffiti, just getting the community involved, celebrating diversity. So all of those things are things that we might consider, and there may be other things from Milpitas that you'd like to consider. From a funds allocation standpoint, it's easier to allocate annually rather than piecemeal because we don't have to keep going back to city council to ask for money. So in an ideal world, I think you would plan ahead, know what you wanted to do in the coming fiscal year, and then go to, we would go to city council at the time that we're doing the budget and say, this is how much we need to do this many murals. And as far as prioritizing your spaces go, one thing to consider, again, on where you want them is whether you want to achieve like a maximum visual impact. If you have murals that are all in one district and suddenly you have, 3, 4, 5 new murals in that district, it has a big impact. On the other hand, if you want to reach out to the residents and make the whole city aware of something, if you spread it out throughout neighborhoods, then more people have a chance to see it and be aware of it. So two different schools of thought there. Next slide, please. We'll have to go to city council with a recommended annual budget, which also translates to number of murals that we would like to do. My understanding is that they're hoping that we could propose something that would be ongoing. So I'm tentatively suggesting that we might think about 3 years out. How many murals would we complete in 3 years? Or how much money would we spend in 3 years? As a reminder, as far as the pricing goes, mural pricing right now in the Bay Area is running $10 to $50 a square foot. So a small mural could cost up to of 10 to 20, could cost up to $10,000. But many buildings have much larger walls than that. So, it could vary. You could end up paying less per square foot than the 50 if you're doing a big mural. Some cities offer a matching grant where a business might put in some money and the city matches it 1 for 1. So thinking about, whether you're paying for all of the mural or if you're somehow getting funding, and I'll talk about that in the next slide, affects how many you can do. You want to keep that in mind as you budget. From a projects management standpoint, I think 3 to 4 murals is probably ideal. We are kind of a lean staff right now. I think 6 is the absolute max that we could handle in a given year. So I would keep that in mind as we're thinking about how many we'd like to strive for and propose to City Council. Next slide, please. Sometimes when people are putting together mural programs, they need to make exceptions to the selection criteria that they use for the rest of their public art program. For example, our current guidelines require the highest quality and craftsmanship. It generally implies that you're having a professional artist either do the work or oversee the work. We may wish to make a provision for a mural program to allow for student or community art projects, or we may wish to put that in some other part of our public art plan and thought. Some mural programs allow businesses to put their names on the mural or something that shows you what the business inside the building does. In Milpitas, that would require an exception to our normal art criteria because we have a very clear distinction between art and signs. And so a name on a wall would make the artwork suddenly become a sign. And some cities get around that by exempting murals from sign ordinances. But right now for private businesses, if they were to include logos or emblems or sign copy, words or illustrations that are associated with the business use, then they would need to apply for a minor site development permit, which is not an unreasonable application, but it is something for us to consider that might be required if we are to allow, certain things to be part of the mural. Next slide. Thank you. So partnership funding, I alluded to this a minute ago. Public art fund monies are to be used for public art placement throughout the city. It's unclear to staff right now whether there are limitations on using the public fund money in any way on privately owned spaces. I would need to check with the city attorney. I don't think the issues come up before, so I don't think that we've got clear direction on that. But I can tell you that many cities that's not allowed. If you're using public funds, it has to be on publicly owned property. It is possible that something like a mural program could qualify under Economic Development's Facade Improvement Grant Program. I understand that that's a little bit scaled back since the pandemic, so they're not focusing on murals right now. They're focusing on other things, but we might qualify for other types of grants, and those could be grants to an artist, or they could be a grant to the new Milpitas Recreation and Community Services Foundation that will be starting soon. And then that money could be potentially used for this kind of a project. Under some models, one interesting way that some cities do it is the artist fee is provided by the business, and then the agency's input or assistance with the program is actually in kind. So it would be more of a thing where a business tells us, oh, we can afford to put a $5,000 mural on the side of our building, and then the city volunteers the services of staff to help coordinate getting the mural, getting the artist, and getting it on. So lots of different ways that can be handled. And after we have a discussion and I have better understanding what you're interested in, we can present some more clear direction there. Next slide, please. You may wish to come up with some unifying themes or styles that you would use for a mural program. This could be something that's specified in a public art master plan, which would be really nice for us to have, or district plans sometimes indicate what kinds of things, like if you have a historic district, they might specify that they want the artwork to be historic in nature. I have seen and been a part of art programs where art along a particular corridor that's being completed in a given year has a theme. And so this year's theme is transportation, or this year's theme is flowers, or whatever it happens to be. Or you could identify several themes from which the individual artists could choose, or the business owners, or the community that's in the neighborhood. So there's different ways that we could do unifying themes or styles, or we don't have to do anything at all. Each mural could be its own independent artwork. Next slide, please. One thing that some cities do, and I think would be perhaps helpful for us, is to generate a pre-qualified artists list. The cities that do that usually do it every 2 to 3 years. The commission or some other body is issuing what's basically a request for qualifications. You're asking the artists to send their portfolios and their resumes, which, for example, on our Montague pedestrian overcrossing, you saw that, but you also saw their proposal for the overcrossing. So if we were a city that did pre-qualifications, you would have just seen the proposals and the, just seen the resumes and their portfolios. And then you would have been able to identify a small group that you are most interested in and proceed from there. That allows you to have an invitation for a specific project and issue a small stipend for people to give you a design proposal. It also allows us to have a catalog, if you will, of artists that have been approved by the commission, so that if we had a business partner that was interested in putting a mural on their business, they could peruse this catalog of pre-qualified artists and choose one or several from among that catalog. And we know that the artist that they're choosing would be somebody whose work you've already approved as qualified. And of course, a pre-qualified artist list can be done for murals only, if we were just talking about this project, or it could be done for all public art. I know Palo Alto has an incredible program right now, and their pre-qualification list, which goes for 3 years, I believe, they tell the artists, if you submit to our program, you are potentially, in the running for artworks as small as $3,000 to up to $600,000. So, and it could be sculpture, it could be murals, whatever your, skill and qualifications fit. So I think that's the next slide, please. We'll see if I have more. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have some other considerations. Okay. So with regard to murals on commercial buildings, there would be a consideration about the ownership of the art, especially if it's partly funded by the city. So if it, we would have to clarify whether, it's a grant perhaps to help a business owner, or if it is in fact jointly owned. If the work is jointly owned or is owned by the city or maintained by the city, it might require an easement to the wall, which could be kind of challenging. If it was to be maintained, if partly funded by the city, then we might be responsible for a certain amount of maintenance. Another consideration that has come up in other cities is procedures regarding transfer of property. So if artwork such as a mural is put onto a building and then the building is sold, that there needs to be some clear understanding before that sale happens as to what happens to the art. Is the art considered permanent, and does the new owner have to keep the old mural, or is the art considered temporary, and once the building is sold, that artwork is no longer a concern of the city's, basically? Could the new owner paint right over it? Next slide. And I put some examples in. I think in the interest of getting to our discussion and time, I probably won't, I don't think we need to go to those examples. I think you can visit those later, but, and there's many, many more than this. But it'll give you an idea of different things to look for in mural programs. Some of these are run by nonprofit organizations that have either been set up by the city or have sprung up in response to the city's need. They have different scopes as to how many murals they do. Some of the East Coast ones, Philadelphia and Jersey City, have lots and lots that they oversee, of murals that they do and oversee. I believe Jersey City was 80 a year compared to Roseville, they did 5 in a year. So it's the size varies, the way the program is structured varies considerably. So what I'm hoping to do today, and I think we can end the presentation, is to just hear what you think you might be interested in so that I can gather more information for you for our May meeting, and we can come to some understanding of what you would like to propose to City Council.
Thank
I
you.
guess I'm finished with the presentation. You can
Okay.
put us back on screen. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
But it's very exciting. I guess one quick question. Well, first of all, can you supply us with these slides separately? Can you forward those
Oh
slides?
yeah, sure, of course, yes.
Okay, because I think there's some homework here, some thought that can go into this that we probably won't immediately have questions or ideas or comments on. Can we just go back to the first slide?
Sure, and Chair, may I also tell you, you do have one item, one comment on this item.
Okay.
From the audience.
Okay, then perhaps it might be good to have that comment and hear that comment now.
Okay, and that's Urvish Kumar Mehta. Okay. And I'm going to unmute.
Very much. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much to the Art Commission. I wanted to mention about the Art Commission's contribution to the city of Milpitas. Recently, on April 26, 2021, there are 3 more bills that has been introduced. The first bill hearings that has been with the Assembly Bill 35, Assembly Bill 1348, and Assembly Bill 1545, that is putting up the committees on arts, entertainment, sports, tourism. It is important that that Art Commission also introduce the internet media with the different language support, different language support to the businesses, and as well as different podcasts available as a part of our Arts Commission's work contribution to the city of Milpitas. It is also important to evaluate that how the different language support with respect to the Art Commission would be helping the city to overcome the obstacles to develop the performing arts, cultural within the specific of a downtown, for the development of a downtown within the city of Milpitas. It is also important to look into the fundings that is going to be the budget funding for the state that is going to be available for the city from the state in order to develop such programs. Some of the imperatives and the must do's are that to develop a job opportunities and the business opportunities through the art commissions within the city of Milpitas, and also recognize the contribution that is being made to the city of Milpitas by the citizens as serving on the committee. There are also children arts program being implemented as well, where the specific grants being allotted to the children as a part of a distance learning education, and as well as a virtual program that is to be supported by the Arts Commission within the city of Milpitas. All the directives, all the assembly bills that is being introduced as a part of a current legislation aiming to develop the arts within the city, and such derivatives not being implemented would deprive the city from the right set of a culture to be developed for the city as well. Not just the culture, but also the creativity and the performing arts required for the city to develop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Okay, Tegan. Can we just put up the first slide? How how would you anticipate, Tegan, that we respond to this? Do we go through these line items, or do we just go to each commissioner and get a general response on the issues addressed on this particular slide?
I think if we went through the commissioners and asked if you have any suggestions for how spaces might be nominated, how you'd like to see that, and then move on to the next one.
Okay. Then let's go then in sequence on this and see how we can cover this. And Commissioner Ghosh, do you have some initial quick responses?
Yeah, there are two things. One is I was wondering why we are only focusing on murals and why are we not also thinking about sculptures? Because I have seen how Palo Alto and Los Altos, they have some very significant sculptures which look really beautiful in the city. And I love murals, but I just feel that, the city should have a diverse look. It shouldn't just be murals. We have enough space, we have parks, we have different areas where we could install sculptures. I don't know whether it is the money, it's the budget, or what is stopping us from looking into sculptures as well. Metal sculptures or stone sculptures, either which way. And where murals are concerned, I feel it should be kind of spread out and not only in one area. I have seen that in Austin, where it is all the murals are in one area in the city, and it's nice, but you have to always drive to that area to kind of experience it. It would be nice to kind of have it come upon you anywhere, any place. That is my opinion. I have also feel if it's murals in the city, it should be, we should look into what is being put in, the style, the colors. It has, that's all, the look has to really go with the way the city is. Milpitas city is very refined looking and it's very modern. So our style should represent that, a clean, nice look. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll hold my comments to the end, but I think they're good, very, very good points, Jaida. Benjamin, let me hear from you.
I'd like to see the murals spread out as well. I feel like having it all in one place would be a bit too cluttered, I guess. And then if it's spread out, you'll see them everywhere else and like possibly a chance to. But also I'd like to have them be like a similar theme, maybe so that people want to like visit all of the murals to see what's like slightly different or whatever. And it could be like a type of collectible thing in a way.
Oh, you've lost me on that last comment.
I'm not sure how to describe it really.
Okay. All right, Sandeep, what are your comments?
So I do agree with Commissioner Ghosh's suggestion that the artwork, I'm using term artwork instead of murals, it should be spread throughout the city. Also, what I was thinking is like entry points of the city. For example, when you come from 237 to Calaveras in the city of Milpitas, or like on North Milpitas Boulevard, like between Milpitas and Fremont, there should be some decorative entry point, like welcome to Milpitas kind of thing. Like can have some sculptures, or like even in Milpitas, there is one residential community on Montague and Tread Zone. And what they have done, they have very beautiful water fountain kind of structure. So I still remember when I used to take my kid for a drive, he would be like, I want to go to that place and just enjoy that scenery. So something like that as a entry point in Milpitas will give a really nice feel to our city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, Melissa.
Well, when I was listening to this presentation, I was reminded of this place in Malaysia called Penang, and it's where my dad's from. And there's this place in Penang where it's a very popular tourist spot, and there's a lot of different murals, like in all different kind of styles, and they're not just murals too, like Commissioner Ghosh said. There are like sculptures and also like wire sculptures. And so I think what Commissioner Tang was trying to say was that like the collectibles in Penang, what they do is they give like tourists like a map of all the different murals around the city, and then you can follow the map and like go to all the different murals and maybe like cross them out, like each one you go to.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are a lot of murals on like restaurant walls and a lot of other places. I think it'll be really good for businesses in Milpitas.
What a lovely idea.
That's why she's with us.
Thank you for sharing.
My response, and Tegan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this particular agenda item was framed essentially by request from Council Member Vice Mayor Montano, who was asking for some proposals from the Commission for murals in the city. That's why I think Tegan has framed the questions and the issues to be addressed. It dovetails with something I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to talk about in the next few months that may potentially be in our work plan for next year. And that is a master plan for art and culture, which would give direction and guidance for an overall parameters for anything that is in the public space, whether it be murals or sculptures, potentially, I guess, waterfalls, and possibly, I believe, landscaping. And to that extent, I've already started talking with a couple of local cities and asked for and actually have copies of their master plan. But I think what Tegan, correct me if I'm wrong, we need essentially to respond to the request that came from council as it stands, which is for murals. There's no reason why it shouldn't dovetail later on with a master plan.
That's correct. You're right. That's why we have just focused on murals in this item.
Okay. All right.
I had a quick question from Tegan. Tegan, is it advisable for me to discuss anything about Measure F committee, or can I present whatever I am learning from here to that committee?
I think there's an opportunity at the end of the agenda when the commissioners share. You might share with us at that time.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't think we have to sum up the conclusion so far, Stephen, but it appears as though the commissioners are fairly open about distribution of the murals. I would comment that this might dovetail this discussion to some extent with a series of 3 conversations that are being had with our community in the next few weeks concerning Midtown. And one of those conversations is culture and the arts, as it might relate to placemaking in Midtown. It's not called Midtown now, whatever, Old Town perhaps. I would encourage, not that it's pertinent to this particular commission meeting, but I would encourage commissioners to check the city website and at least join the conversation during the third of those meetings. I'm just, to me, you know, perhaps where, you know, there's no reason why we should not be limiting the public art or the murals just to city-owned spaces. And I'm not sure, you know, if we address the areas that are closest to the parks and or to some of the older locations in the community, in the city, whether there are enough city-owned spaces for public art. You know, it seems to me that one of the things we'll have to do is to actually do some canvassing by the commissioners around the city to find out where those are. And I guess presumably one of the departments in the city can give us some direction on that. Let's have is that sufficient of an answer for you, Tegan, for right now?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about processing for prioritizing. How would you prioritize? Next slide.
Okay, well, we'll go in the same sequence again. Jada, do you have any initial response to this?
I think, you know, for prioritizing where the space will be, I think Sandeep had a good comment about that, is to maybe focus on the entry points and of the city. There are 2 entry points. One is from Fremont, the other one is from San Jose, and make it distinctively different, something distinctive about Milpitas over there. And definitely, you know, we are all talking about the same thing about having a downtown. So clearly, if we, you know, if Main Street is going to be the downtown, I'm not sure where we are thinking would be our downtown. But definitely, you know, where people are gathering more, it could be, you know, where the BART station is, or maybe the Great Mall, where there is a lot of people coming for movies and shopping. That would be actually a good place to have. So we have to kind of prioritize, you know, depending on where we would like to see it. I think businesses and where people gather should be a priority for us in the beginning for the murals.
Okay. And what about mitigating graffiti? There are some areas where graffiti is tending to be fairly abundant.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to, I have actually not seen too much graffiti in Milpitas. So, but yeah, that is definitely a point, a place where if we are seeing a lot of graffiti, we have to try to, that will be a priority to make that place beautiful. And, they were telling, the mural artists were saying, right, they can make it so graffiti cannot be done on it. So that would be a great way to stop graffiti from happening. Yeah. And of course, whatever we are doing as a mural point of view, we've always wanted to celebrate our diversity and culture. So that would definitely be, when we are looking at all the mural artists, that is something that we are definitely focusing on, that it should speak of our city. It should, talk about what our city is about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the theme should be about Milpitas.
There's a very quick story here. I was connected with the Art Commission in another city, and we visited Santa Cruz. This was quite a few years ago, and they had an abundant number of murals. And they explained that once you place a mural on a bare wall, graffiti disappears. It's not the issue of graffiti being on a mural, but more that by placing a mural on a wall, you discourage actually graffiti. So I'm not sure whether that's essentially what was meant in that particular point there, but it does help to dissuade graffiti artists. They tend to respect a muralist's artwork. Sandeep. Oh, I'm sorry, Benjamin. You were next in the line there.
I don't really have any comments on this.
Okay. And Sandeep?
So I have two areas to suggest. As Commissioner Ghosh mentioned, entry points to Milpitas would be one ideal candidate. Second, I was thinking something on the lines of Santana Row. So I'm just giving a different perspective. So as you may be aware, like I do a photography business. And in Santana Row, there are some walls where there is really beautiful mural. And that has turned into a photo op location. So a lot of people go for a restaurant, eat, and then they prefer to have a photo shoot done around that area. So basically, it's giving me business, and like also people spend money after or before the photo session. So what I was thinking, something like that, if we can do it around Great Mall, so that can be additional attraction. It's a city attraction kind of thing. So something around Great Mall is second priority. And I was thinking about graffiti, but I'm still not sure. Again, as Commissioner Ghosh mentioned, I haven't came across any graffiti that was really getting my attention. So not sure about that portion.
Yeah. Melissa.
I agree with Mr. Ida. I think we should prioritize location first, and like especially places that have a lot of people in Milpitas. And for graffiti, I think it should come after, because I think graffiti, the ones that I've seen are like a little bit more hidden and not very eye-catching. So I think that should come after.
Okay. No, that's fine. I don't want to mention where the graffiti is, especially in a public meeting. But I think the intention of placemaking is, in fact, to create an attraction that assists the businesses, local business activity, restaurant activity, and so on. So Great Mall, the new metro area is a great location to consider this. And my pet subject, obviously, is the connection between Main Street and the metro area. And to me, that would offer an opportunity or one more step towards revitalizing that area. So let's have the next slide.
I had a question about annual allocation rather than piecemeal. Who is, what does that mean? Who is going to be giving this annual allocation?
Well, it comes from the Public Art Fund, and you ask for it, or you ask for it, and then council approves the money to be used for that purpose. And I think it's easier for us to go for an ask at one time and say we would like to do 3 murals next year, City Council, and it's going to cost this amount of money, as opposed to going in September and saying we'd like to do one, and then going back in December and saying we'd like to do another one, and then going back in March we'd like to do a third. So I just think it's more convenient if we can go all at once.
Great. Yeah.
And they can have a picture of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that's a good segue to that next slide if you wanted to.
Yeah. Just one other point. I should footnote that if there was an ability for us to find mural locations that are adjacent to or by or even in some of our parks, that would make a very good marriage and another incentive for people to visit, to hike, to bike, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next slide.
So this is about the number that you guys wanted to think about per year.
Yeah. Okay. Jada, do you want to take an initial stab at this?
So I think 3 to 4 murals per year seems like a difficult task. That's a lot of, with the deciding and all of that. I don't know whether we could do 3 to 4 murals in 1 year, because planning means you look at the different designs, you decide on it, you decide on which artists are signing up on it. So though I would love to have 3 to 4 murals, but I think that is probably very optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, when I would definitely go optimistic and have a budget for 3 murals at least. Yeah.
There may be, if the metro area moves as fast as it appears to be moving in the next few years, and if that appears from a commission standpoint to be a recommended location or a potential location for murals, it seems to me that 3 to 4, we just have to have a full commission. I think that's basically what we need. A few more worker bees with us to work us through the process. Benjamin, what is your reaction?
I think 3 to 4 murals is doable. And for the pricing, I'm not sure how to price it because I don't know much about mural pricing, but I want it to be fair, so I can't quite say what I price it.
Okay. Sandy?
So yeah, I was thinking of a number three murals per year. And what I was thinking, addressing Joyita's concern. So there is one way of doing is like you work on one mural at a time. And other option is start working on 3 murals at the same time, find different locations so that you may need 4 to 5 months to shut down on the artists, different artists, and then they can work in parallel. So that once we approve the work, things should move fast, is what I'm thinking. And about the pricing, I'm like, as like recently we did it for the over like the bridge, a footbridge over Montague, right? And I think they are covering a lot more space in $15,000. So I think there would be artists that are that should be willing to give better pricing. So I'm not sure about that, but like looking at those numbers, the numbers that were proposed earlier, I think there is scope for better pricing here.
Sandy, just for understanding, when you say better pricing, what do you mean?
What I thought is like 10 by 20 mural for 10,000. I found a little bit expensive because there were some artists who were like willing to pretty much cover entire bridge, like the underside of bridge, and within budget of 15,000.
Okay. Okay.
We also have to keep in mind that we have about 6 months till the rain starts. So keeping that in perspective, I think when Sandeep said that we should decide 3 murals at the same time, that would be ideal, where we are deciding on the artists and the designs at tandem. A mural artist, professional artist, takes about a few weeks, maybe a month to complete the whole project. But I think decision and sending everything the right way, all of that takes time. So we should take it all at the same time instead of one mural at a time. That would probably expedite the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Melissa?
I think three or four murals is doable in 1 year, I think, for professional muralists. As for pricing, I don't really know much about that, so I don't have a comment on that.
Okay. Tegan, I agree with the mural program being longer than a year. A 3-year period makes a lot of sense to me. My concern would be that we're probably going to learn a lot in the first year of that 3 years. And my question would be, if the city agrees to our proposed allocation, but for one reason or another, the first year we only end up with 1 mural of the 3 or 4 that we have planned. Can we carry over the commitment that we might have with artists?
I'm not sure what you're asking, John.
Okay, so we in the first year we select and agree on 3 murals, A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
A starts and completes their mural and uses a portion of the allocation. B and C, their monies are committed, but they do not, for one reason or another, complete the mural or even start the mural until the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
We can carry that over?
Yeah, once money has been encumbered to a project, it's there in the project, and it's just staff's responsibility to extend the project if the project has not been completed, for if we hit weather or something and they're not able to finish a mural during that time.
Okay, so now encumbered on B and C hasn't actually occurred. The selection
Well,
and the commitment. Oh no, I think I understand. I answered my own question.
If you've chosen artists and we've issued a contract to the artist,
Yeah.
then the money is encumbered to pay for that artist, and it sits and waits until the job is finished and we can pay them. So it would sit there until we either told the finance department that this artist we're severing the contract and they're not going to complete the mural, so put the money back in the public art fund, or we've run into some problem, but we're going to extend and go in 3 months into the following fiscal year. We need that money to continue until we get the project done. So either way, we can work with that.
Okay.
So one thing, Tegan, since it's all murals, right at this point, there can be no changes to including sculpture, or is it just focusing on murals?
The project that we've been asked to come up with is a mural program. That's not to say that there might not be non-mural projects that also run concurrently. In fact, I know that the public or the 2 members of your commission and 2 members of the Parks Commission and a member of the Historical Society are working on the Park Markers program, and Park Markers may very well turn out to be little sculptures, or they could be something different. So when we have a program, it doesn't necessarily exclude us from having another program or another project.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next slide.
So we've just done an art project, so you're familiar with our current selection criteria.
Yeah.
That mural project we just did. And so this is just asking if there's anything that you think you might want to make different on a mural program than on a standard public art program.
Okay, Joy, why don't you take a stab at this?
Yes, I completely am for the first bullet point of making this into a student and a community artist project, if that is possible. We have quite a few talented artists in the city among the students. That would be a really good idea. Regarding mural programs with business names on them, I absolutely do not like that idea. I do not feel that a mural needs to have a logo or an emblem of any that will take away from the beauty of the mural. And I've visited many cities with very big murals, and they really don't have logos and emblems on them. And I cannot even imagine trucking service or whatever written on a mural. So I mean, maybe that's the way to get money from the business. But perhaps if it has to be almost not visible. So the artwork is the main thing that we are seeing, and not the name of the business. Yeah, that's my thing. I wouldn't like to see emblems and logos and signs very visible on the mural.
If there was some historical significance to the business, would that make any difference?
I mean, I can't visualize that. I mean, maybe, yeah, if it's a Victorian relic, or if it's a Milpitas historic relic, yes, that would be good. But if the fire station decides to pay a lot of money and have a wall painted, would I want to see the fire station's name in somewhere big, bold? I probably wouldn't. It would be nice to have it somewhere that maybe the public can see at the bottom, but not the first thing that I would like to see. That's just my opinion about.
That's right. That's fine. Benjamin.
I think if the artist can make the logo or emblem or sign look nice in the mural, then it's fine with me.
Okay. Sandeep.
So about the first bullet, what I recommend is for the Montague Expressway art mural project, we got so many proposals. I'm sure like we won't be able to give business to each of them for that specific area. So the other artists who have spent a lot of time showcasing their work, we should consider them first for these murals, so they can be given a higher priority, is my opinion. About business names, my main concern is what if that business moves out? How are we going to deal with that? It's like, let's say, as Benjamin said, okay, it's very beautiful. Joyita says, yeah, it looks good, and now the business is not there anymore. So that's my main concern.
Yeah. Okay. Melissa. Melissa, do you have some feedback, some comment?
I think it would be okay if like the business name was like blended in with the mural, kind of hidden. Other than that, I don't know.
Do you have any strong reaction to the first bullet? Should students, community artists, have an opportunity to be included in muraling?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay. Okay. There are one or two locations in Milpitas that I think have historical significance, and they are businesses or were businesses, and they may or may not be carrying the name, or they may not still be in business, but they are functioning buildings and they are in business. So I think we should have an open mind when it comes to this. The one example to me is the feed store on Main Street, which has, is probably the only local non-franchised feed store in the city, and I could see an opportunity to partner with them for a mural. They already actually have a mural on the wall, but it's a little amateurish. But so I would keep an open mind on that. That's for my 2 pennies worth.
Do we understand when we say community artist projects? What does that mean? Does the artist lead the community? And what community are we speaking about?
I think that could vary depending on what you chose to specify.
Okay.
Do you have any further suggestions on that, Joyita?
So yeah, I think I do, because I had wanted one project where an artist-led project by involving the homeless population. And how we would be able to do that, I'm not sure, but perhaps training them and getting them involved in something creative, because we do have a sizable population, and that is something which will bring a little more attention to the population and also attention to the city for doing something creative with this community. And I think that would be a good opportunity for Milpitas. And we don't know how things roll, right? Something like this can go viral and can become quite important.
Yes.
As a landmark for the city.
Yes.
But I definitely feel that we need to use this opportunity to train them, and they could be paid for it as well, and help them, help an artist kind of involved in this.
Absolutely. And it doesn't sacrifice, or may not sacrifice, the quality or the craftsmanship if it's done with proper guidance and instruction.
Absolutely.
The same thing applies, I think, with the partnership with Elmhurst, which is something I would really like to consider in a different context. Maybe this would allow us, a partnership with some of the inmates to work on a similar type of project. So I think Tegan, somehow we should include that, but obviously put some sort of restrictions on it. But I like that idea. Okay, yes. Can we have the next slide?
If I may, Chair Ag, I don't know that there's much for you to all weigh in on the partnership funding, because I think wherever we can get the funding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a slow reader, and I was actually reading the bullet points again. But I agree. It's something I think that we obviously need to address, but I don't know that there's much we can add to that at this point.
I think if somebody has any ideas that aren't listed here, we'll be happy to look into them for you for next time.
Yeah, the facade program that I guess the Economic Development Department is working on, yes, the answer is yes. Let's move on. Can we have the next slide? Okay. This is something I sort of partially addressed, and that is a public master plan. And I think this may be something we can chew on as part of our work plan for next year, subject to council approval. But Tegan, it also addresses the question, Joita addresses the questions that you brought up earlier. Okay, so do we have any input? Joita, do you have any input on the unifying themes or styles?
I want to go back to the idea Melissa had given about how one mural leads to the other. So yes, that would be a very nice theme to kind of go through. And I would be interested in if Melissa would share some pictures that are there, because, the world is our art place, right? We can look at what Penang has done and try to see if that would work here. But I'd like that idea of one theme kind of connecting to the other, and I think that'll be very meaningful for us. And also, if it's like a touristy thing to visit Milpitas and find all the different artworks, that would tie into that theme very well. And it could be connected with the the new thing that we are doing with the, the sculptures, the park meters, and it could all be kind of connected together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, the answer is yes. Benjamin.
Having them share a theme would be cool. I just don't know what theme it is.
Okay. And Sandeep?
I don't have comment right now. I need to think about it. Right. Sorry.
Right. We could get an opportunity to think this all through again in a very short period of time. So I think, I got more responses than I anticipated. Melissa, do you have some input?
The ones in Penang, I think they're not very connected. They all have different themes. But for me personally, I think it would be nice if we have some different like artwork instead of following a theme.
Not necessarily the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I think, if we're given, we actually determined that a maximum of 3 to 4 murals per year for the next 3 years, creating essentially a corridor doesn't, it would be difficult to create just a corridor. It probably is better, from my vantage point, to choose a starting point and then identify a series of different locations where we would start the corridor over the next 3 years. So you're spreading the murals a little bit within the city. I agree. I'm actually not into one theme per year or whatever. I think my preference is to give some guidance to the muralist as to what we would like as a theme for a mural, and then let them go to bat on coming up with something which is relevant to either our history or a story that we're telling or whatever. So I'm not in favor of quote unquote a theme. Okay. Is there another slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, yes, absolutely. Jaida.
Okay, is this the next slide?
Yes, it is.
Yes, we definitely, it would be easier and faster to kind of connect with the pre-qualified artists. But we have to also understand that the time we started all this was a pandemic year, and I don't know how many artists saw, our initial call for artists. And so I hope we are not, I definitely feel that we should open up, the whole project for a larger number of artists. So we have, varied art to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to be kind of limited to, okay, we saw this, these artists this year, and then the next year we have to choose from the same artists. There are some extremely talented artists around the Bay Area, and maybe we haven't tapped each one of them. So pre-qualified artist list is a good idea, but I think we have to still open up our call for artists and have new art, look at new art, see what's happening. Yeah.
So one of the limitations we put for the call for artists for the crosswalk, Montague crosswalk, was they had to be Bay Area artists. So do you have any strong feelings? Should we limit it to Bay Area artists? Or should we open it up and just make it a broader circle?
You know, if we open it up, it might be cheaper, but then if we are looking for an artist coming from North Carolina, they will have to live here. So there would be a living expenses, but it might be more reasonable to have artists kind of coming from other places of the country, is my thought. And why not? We could, open it up to. But then again, it'll be a lot more deliberation trying to decide who we are going to go with. But it is worth a try one time to see how it goes if we really open it up to a larger population of artists.
Okay. Benjamin.
I agree with Joyita.
Okay. Thank you. Sandeep?
Yeah, so I was thinking more from an engineering aspect for this. It's like trying to combine engineering and art. So in engineering, when we work, we do something called pipeline. So we can implement something like over here. So for example, we can have a set of pre-qualified artists and we can pick some of them for our initial murals. And while we're doing that, we can open a call for artists, which will give us enough time and we can fill up our pipeline for next year's murals so that we don't start publishing the call for artists when we are actually ready. Basically, what I'm saying, be prepared, keep that pipeline filling so that we have enough options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good suggestion.
Thanks.
Melissa?
I think opening up the call for artists to a bigger population would be, maybe you would get a lot more artists and get a better price. But I think it would be more meaningful, especially if the mural is about maybe like the history of Milpitas or the Bay Area. It would be more meaningful to get like a local artist.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. And we have, even in Milpitas, we have a diverse community here. So if we open that to the Bay Area here, we have an extremely diverse family of communities and artists. So yeah, okay. I have a question, Tegan, which I probably should have asked before. When we talk about murals, are we talking about just walls, or can we include sidewalks, crosswalks? Are those considered murals?
My understanding is that they're wanting us to make a proposal for wall murals at this time.
Okay.
Which is not to say that it couldn't later evolve to include other things, but right now I think they're thinking traditional murals on walls.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm not sure that I have anything to add then to this slide. Is there another slide?
The other one was just other considerations, but it's not anything that, it's mostly stuff I would need to check with legal on. So it's not stuff that
Okay,
For
there was
the city
one,
attorney, not for you guys.
yeah, there was one that you actually had links to various methods cities have already used for, yeah, that one. I'd like to follow up on that. You'll share that with us, is
I
that
will
right?
send you the presentation. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good, okay. All right. In 5 minutes or less, Tiyun, can you summarize our conclusions?
Oh,
No,
sure. Let's see. I think what I heard was that you are interested in spreading the artwork out throughout the city, and that there was a particular interest in entry points in areas where people gathered, with the Great Mall mentioned, and Midtown, downtown, Main Street as another one mentioned. I heard that we all seem to be, you all seem to be leaning toward 3 to 4 murals as a goal per year.
yeah.
I heard that there was an interest in making a provision for student or community artists, and it sounded like having those groups led by a professional artist would be the appropriate solution there. I heard that perhaps we wanted to keep an open mind on logos, et cetera, but not to strongly encourage it. Basically, if there was historical significance or something. So I heard that. Let's see. I heard no specific theme mentioned, some thoughts about having different themes. I think that's something that maybe we would take year by year, or project by project. I heard that in general, having a pre-qualified list is something that would be helpful for us, but Sandeep's pipeline idea might be a good solution to, get a pre-qualified list in line for future projects, and always be accepting applications and always be adding to that rather than doing it at one time. So yeah, those are the things that I heard right now. And
good.
I wanted to add something quickly. We could actually also, when we are thinking of the murals, we could make it into a section that we would have these areas devoted to florals and nature themes. And we would have certain areas devoted to very modern, like people like to do Calder, Picasso styled modern art. So we devote some areas to very abstract modern. And then we can devote some areas which are more historical and more people-oriented kind of themes. So it's not like there is one floral here and then there's this abstract here and then there is something else there. So there is, I felt that that would be interesting to have regions of our murals set up.
Within the city.
Within the city, yeah, within the city. That would be interesting to go see a cluster of flowers somewhere or a cluster of abstract art somewhere. Yeah.
Great. So, what will administration now do, Tegan? Take this and burnish it and put it in. Where do we go from here?
Well, you have a meeting in May.
Yeah.
And I think I will come back to your meeting in May with a rough draft of what you might send to council, and then you can comment on it and make changes so that hopefully by the end of that May meeting, you'll have something ready to share with council.
Okay.
They asked for something in June, so I think if you do it in your May meeting, then we can make their June meeting, second meeting in June.
Okay, good, good.
Tegan, can I ask you about the previous deliberation that we had about the mural and what was the decision?
You know what? I was going to cover that in my staff reports at the end, if you don't mind. Can
Okay.
I?
That'd
Thank
be
you.
good.
Okay. All right. Then let us move on to 9B. Do you have an exhibit for us for 9B?
I don't have a PowerPoint now.
Okay. All right. So you want to go ahead and take the floor?
So I could give you a quick report on what we're doing for item 9B is the initial discussion on your work plan for 21-22. As you know, your responsibility is to present a work plan annually for council's approval. And I have included in the staff report that was part of the packet items that you have had on your work plan and our progress on them. The ones from last year were promoting Milpitas arts and culture grants, and that was dependent on the public health restrictions being lifted. So you haven't been able to do anything on that.
Right.
Select and commission a muralist for the Montague pedestrian overcrossing, that's in process. Conduct a call for artists for the historical markers jointly with PRC is essentially in process. That committee is starting to meet.
Right.
Determine specs for an overcrossing lighted artwork that has not been started. Prioritize public art projects to beautify specific areas that has not been started. Recommend maintenance procedures for city-owned art, which has not been started, and review the existing city-owned art for maintenance and repair needs has not been started. And a lot of that is pandemic related because we just can't get out there and do things.
Yeah.
City Council has expressed interest in the following for the coming fiscal year. One is they've expressed interest in the development and implementation of a mural program. So that is what we were talking about in item 9A. Staff would like the commission to consider the following as possibilities, and that would be develop a public art master plan and conduct a general request for qualifications from artists. And so what we're asking you tonight is to introduce any additional ideas you have so that staff can gather research on it and return to you next time with a more fleshed out list.
The work plan for next year.
Yeah, your work plan for next year. So yeah.
Okay.
So if there's anything you would like to add that's not on this list that you'd like to think about and talk about, we need to hear about it now to get started.
No. Well, my response to that, Tegan, is that I think we've picked out enough work for next year already in terms of the public art master plan. To me, that's a core to the destiny of arts and culture in the city. And so to me, and it's the timing of it is perfect. But to me, that could take all our time if necessary. So I'm not sure that I have any additions. But let me ask the commissioners. Jaida, are there any other items, action items you'd like to include in the work plan for next year?
No, I think we've covered it all. We've added, my interest was about the community-led art project, the mural that has also been written. So I think we've covered quite a bit.
Okay. Okay. incorporated in this mural plan, I think, are the two things that both Joyita and I are interested in, and that is some sort of integration for offering opportunities for the unhoused, also for some sort of collaboration with the local Elmhurst. So maybe we can flesh that out a little bit at the next meeting, Keegan, and come up with something that would make sense, that would dovetail with the mural program. Okay. Benjamin.
I don't have any suggestions to add on.
Thank you. And Sandeep?
Yeah, I think we have enough on plate. So
yeah, we do. We do. And I don't think this is part of the work plan, Tegan, and but I don't think it's inappropriate that I do hope that we actually have a few more commissioners with us during the next fiscal year. It would make a big difference, and a larger group will contribute more, I think, to the growth of our cultural and art programs. Okay.
Egg, if I may, I notice you have a hand up in the audience on this item.
Okay.
The speaker is Urvish Kumar Mehta. I'm sorry about that, sir. Let me ask you to unmute.
Thank you very much to all the council members and all the commissioners as well as chair. What I wanted to mention about is that what our commission has brought to the city so far. There has been a selection process that was taken place, and the different artists have represented their arts and exhibiting the cultural effects that could brought to the city of Milpitas. One important aspect that I want to mention is that it is very important to maintain the consistency of our art within the city as per the districting and the zoning. As you could have an example of international culture, as well as from a different arts, sculptures develop in the cities, different festivities that bring the performing arts, creativity, and culture to the cities. For example, is San Francisco. For example, the city of Los Angeles. That what are the different festivities, events, arts, sculpture, international programs, as well as the different artists, which is providing the performing arts to the different cities, what they bring to that city. Even with the different development within the different districting, they have continued to maintain the consistency of art that is being developed within the city. For example, if you could take a look at the Performing Arts Center in the city of Los Angeles, they have maintained this different type of a sculpture design for the Performing Arts Center developed in the city of Los Angeles. If you could take a look at the Opera House and the Performing Arts Center in the city of San Francisco, they maintain the different set of architecture and the development of art within the city. Different art, for example, the classical, the neological art sculpture, they represent certain aspect. And so it would be the case that if such kind of arts, creativity, and the culture be brought to the city of Milpitas, the consistency is to be maintained across the different arts being developed within the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I actually have a continuing thread to what he mentioned. We have mostly spoken about beautifying the city with murals and sculptures, but it is an important thing to maybe in future, maybe next year, have like a dance off, or for singing, because the city has many different kinds of dances that they can offer. So it would be great to have like a combination of like a dance festival with the Hawaiian dances, the Indian dances, the Chinese dances, and Vietnamese dances. It would be very beautiful, and it would be a great way to kind of, once things are a little bit better and easing off, it would be a great way to, have everybody excited about something. And perhaps we have several dance schools in the city, and we could probably approach them and see what they have to offer, if they would be interested in an idea like that.
Well, it's not crazy. I think that's a super idea. We're talking really about the work plan for next year, and perhaps that as an item in terms of creating a dialogue and exploring the opportunity of some kind of festival similar to that. Doesn't have to be next year. We could get moving on it, and hopefully the pandemic at that point will be behind us. The city does have a stage, so there's a lot of it makes sense. So Joyita, when we come to talking about the work plan, the details on the work plan, perhaps that should be included. We tend to have a little bit of narrow thinking when it comes to art and murals and sculpture and so on, but actually performing arts is very much part of our involvement and our commitment. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any other input for the work plan as it stands? This is it's an in process. It is great, because I know last year I really pushed hard for the work plan to be completed and ready and in front of the council early in the fiscal year, and for various reasons it didn't quite make it. So we've started. We're in good time. We can get it done, and it would be good to get a blessing from the council early in the fiscal year. After all, there's money involved, there's commitments involved, and so on. So thank you, Tegan, for pushing it. So now we have city liaison reports. And you have the stage again, Tegan.
Thank you. I wanted to let you know that the City Council did not make a decision on the Montague pedestrian overcrossing artist on Tuesday, and have requested us to come back. We are, I believe the city manager is going to be in touch with the council with an action plan on how we would come back. So I will have more information for you at the next meeting on that. And I wanted to let you know that the young man Karthik, whose artwork you approved for the Phantom Art Gallery, we are working on putting that together for a virtual exhibit right now. And he will have a virtual reception on Saturday, May 22nd at 3 o'clock. So I hope that you might be able to stop in and say hello to him and congratulate him.
What time? I'm sorry, Tegan, it was what time?
Saturday the 22nd at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And we are working on another virtual performance. The Center Stage Performing Arts has been contracted by Milpitas Community Theater to do Annie Jr. in a virtual format. So they will have auditions in mid-May. And we'll be working toward a virtual performance at the end of August. Also very exciting. I know the mobile stage has been something you all have been anxious to see. We are going to bring it out this summer. We will let you know in early June. We're planning to have kind of a test run with staff, setting it up and practicing. And I will let you know when that's available so that you can, drop by and see it. We will have the mobile stage out at Starlight Park on the 21st of June and at Murphy on the 18th of July with what we're calling Milpitas on stage. It'll be community concerts. It'll be community groups performing. So we are accepting nominations and suggestions of community groups. We're right now trying to figure out how big of a group we can accommodate because of social distancing. The size of the group is not going to be as large as what we would have ordinarily been able to fit on that mobile stage. And then on August 15th, we're also planning a Milpitas on stage at the Bob McGuire Amphitheater. So again, these will be small performances with local performers, but we are excited to be doing something in person in a socially distanced way. And for both of those shows, the audience will have to reserve seats for all three of those shows, the audience has to reserve seats in advance. There won't be a price for the show, but because of the public health restrictions, we do need to know who's present. And so when the new summer activity guide comes out, which will be mailed to everyone in Milpitas, it will have information about that. And I hope that you will all plan to drop in on one or more of those concerts. And then the last thing, we were asked to announce that the Congressional Art Competition for middle school and high school students is deadline is fast approaching on May 1st. And that's an opportunity for middle or high school students to have their artwork displayed at the US Capitol. And the artwork needs to be delivered framed to the Congressional office in San Jose by May 1st. So that is all I have to share today.
Where will I get information about this middle and high school art competition?
Oh, I will be happy to send you information about that. It's on the Congressional website, so on your congressperson's website.
Okay.
But I can certainly also send it.
That'll be very helpful. Thank you.
Very good. And that completes it, Tegan, for the liaison reports.
That's all I have. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if Mayor Tran has anything.
Oh, thank you so much. I got a couple of things. I just want to really commend everybody on this commission for your dedicated public service to Milpitas. As I sit here and listen, that's typically the role of a city council liaison, is to allow really at all times the commissioners to provide the direction, and that's with every commission. So I really enjoy listening to the commission and the deliberations that are happening about these items. You all are policymakers, officials with the city of Milpitas, actually. And for this mural program item, just for example, the city council has requested this program be created. We don't have one. As our staff member has shown, other cities do. And so our city is lacking this item, and it is really incumbent upon all you commissioners to come together and set forward this program, this policy, and so that the parameters are there, so the city council and the city really can, through the Arts Commission, can have murals here in this beautiful city. And that's pretty exciting. I think that one day in the future, every commissioner will look back and they will say, they'll drive through the city and you'll see a mural somewhere that just something to be proud of. And each of you can say, I was really an integral part of the murals that are around town. So the time being spent is very gratifying. And just being a part of this group here in April 26, 2021, I know when I see a mural, I'll look back and I'll think of all the commissioners here, and I'll just be really grateful for all your work and time that you're dedicating. And so that's how powerful I think this meeting and the items are. With that being said, again, we don't have a mural program, and so just really excited to see one created here in town. The city council does have ideas. I always encourage commissioners to watch the city council meeting when we're discussing an item that is from your commission. If you're on the Arts Commission and we're having a city council meeting and we're deciding on something that's coming out of the Arts Commission, I'm pretty sure it's important that you watch it. With the Montague pedestrian overcrossing, just to report back to you, the city council, as mentioned by Tegan, we were not able to come to a decision. And I want to share with each of the commissioners a little bit of the explanation behind it. I think that the city council, whether it's present or past, we are really the ones that are judged by our decision making. And so I think that the city council, for example, at the last meeting, we weren't able to make a decision. That doesn't reflect anything about the recommendation that this commission put forward to the council. Because let me tell you why. There are many times where even city staff, directors and city managers, and the city staff will recommend to the council different things, items. And even then, the city council may not even make a decision or make a decision contrary to the recommendations of the city staff even. So it's something that happens. I think you'll notice as you continue to be a part of our city affairs, just really into the future. So whether it's the Arts Commission recommendation of which mural artist to go with, which this commission came together and came to a conclusion, this is the mural, or pardon me, this is the artist we want for the crossing. Even though the council didn't make a decision on this commission's recommendation, it doesn't mean that it didn't help the council make a decision. And so I just want this commission to know that as we move forward and we have different things, the Arts Commission recommendations are the most valued recommendations almost. And because there's so much scrutiny, because it's art, I think the city council will tend to take their time and patience making decisions. So the city council, I believe, has really taken into account the recommendation from the Art Commission, and this is a pattern that goes along with many commissions. And so I just want to tell everybody to continue the great work. I was listening to Joyita earlier about sculptures. I do want to touch on that really quick. We do have a few sculptures, I think, very few here in the city. And, I'd like to request for Tegan to bring back what our sculpture policy is for the next meeting. And that way we can absorb that and to understand that. That's the great thing about being on a commission. If you have a question about something, you can always request it from our city staff liaison. And we can go over the sculpture program. And we can go over how many sculptures we have in town, and we can continue to provide input. Very powerful commission we have here, Art Commission. All it takes is for the group to come together and to request something from the city or from the council, and we're going to make it happen. It's just, I think, up to all of us to kind of make the ask. And so that's all I have for tonight. I think this mural program is going to be just fantastic for Milpitas, and looking forward to moving it forward and watching this succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Matron.
Thank you, Matron. I had one comment, Mayor
Sure.
Tran.
Yeah.
I know the city council was not able to come to a conclusion about the mural by the artists, but in the meantime, the artists that we had kind of selected, they joined together and they're creating murals in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And so I was wondering whether, since they've tied up and creating things together, would that be something that we can think of doing? That the two artists together kind of come together with designs, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not
Art
a
should never be
process.
limited. Yeah, art should never be limited. And if artists want to come together and collaborate on new commissions in terms of artwork wise, yeah, that's more than welcome if folks want to come together. And I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yeah. I hope that answered your question. Okay, great. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. You know, I think there may have been a little bit of disappointment that the decision wasn't made finally at council. But we're all grown ups. And as I mentioned to Tegan afterwards, you know, it may have been a disappointment, but we learned from it too. And I think one of the things that came out of that, and I believe it was your suggestion during the council meeting, that we do need, you know, good, strong community input. And so I think that's something that we have to address in the future as an important segment, a portion of however we go ahead and whatever choice we make. It is a community choice. It's not just a commission. But thank you very much for your words.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Well, I believe we've come to the end of the commission meeting. It's 8:45, and so the meeting is adjourned. And everybody stay safe. And oh, I'm sorry. Before we adjourn, do we have a date scheduled, Tegan, for the next meeting?
You do. Hang on just a minute. Let me check my calendar.
Okay.
We did have to move it due to the holiday. And I'm sorry. Too many devices here.
Whilst Tegan is checking on the date, please make certain Tegan will obviously send out notice and confirm that you will be available for that date. But make sure, in fact, that you let her know so that she does get a good count.
It's the 24th of May, which is actually our regular meeting date. I guess Memorial Day falls the following week this year. So we're good on May 24th.
Okay.
So we have the marker meeting that day from 5:30 to 6:30.
You're right. And at 7 o'clock, we have this one.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tegan.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Right. Well, the meeting is adjourned, and everybody stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, and if you haven't had them already, get your shots. Take care, everybody.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Melissa. Thank you.